Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to your third Java tutorial on loops. So one of the first loops I'm going to show you is called a while loop. This is probably the most basic loop out of all of them and the easiest to understand. So before I show you how to use this, I'm going to create a variable called counter and set it equal to 0. So we have integer counter equals 0. Okay, so let me make my method real fast. My main method, I'm gonna actually put this inside the main method instead of outside. So I have this integer counter equals 0. Alright, so now I'm gonna define my while loop. So you do this by while, and then inside these parentheses here, you have to pass in a Boolean, which means a true or false statement. So basically it has to be a condition, it can only be true or false. So I'm going to do something like counter is less than 10. So this reads like while counter is less than 10, execute anything inside of these blocks. So what I'm going to do is just print out counter. Now watch this. I'm going to run it here. And you'll see how it just keeps printing and printing. The reason I kept printing counter over and over and over as many times as it could is because since we never actually increased counter from its original value of 0, this statement stays true forever. Counter will always be less than 10, so it'll never be true. So what we have to do inside of our loop is increment counter by 1 every single loop. So if we just do counter equals counter plus 1, every single time it'll go down, print out, reach this, increase counter by 1, come back around, loop again, print out, increase counter by 1 until it hits less than 10. So it should only print 0 to 9. Also, another way that we can increment numbers is by doing counter plus plus, which increases it by 1. Or you can also do counter plus equals 1. Those are just alternate ways of doing it. So I'm going to delete that. We're just going to use counter plus plus. So let's rerun this. And it printed 0 to 9. Just like we thought. Okay, so yeah, that's basically a while loop. You have to have a condition in here. And you can also break out of while loops. You can also break out of any kind of loops. So if I do while true, I can do an if statement inside of the loop and go, while counter is greater than or equal to 10, break. And this will break out a loop. It's the exact same thing as the condition here. We'll rerun that to make sure. And it printed out 0 to 9 again. Alright, so the next loop we're going to move to is a for loop. I'm going to delete this counter. So this is basically the default for loop that you'll probably see a lot. And it's kind of confusing to look at, but hopefully it'll make sense after I show you. So you go for integer I equals 0. So we're defining an integer, setting it equal to 0. While I is less than 10, so this is a condition, while I is less than 10, I plus plus. This does the exact same thing as a while loop does that we just created, it's just a different way to write it. So let's print out I. And as we see, printed out 0 to 9 just as we thought. So this, and then is identical to the for loop is identical to the while loop here. Why would you use loops? Well, basically loops are really good for repetitive tasks. For example, let's say we want to add up numbers 1 through 10 to get a sum. How would we do that without a loop? You would have to go like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, etc. But with a loop, you can do integer sum equals 0. Oops. For integer I equals 0, while I is less than 5, I plus plus. Actually, we'll do 1 and then less than or equal to 5. So that way it goes from 1 to 5. And then we can just do sum 2 plus equals I. Then we'll print the sum out, or sum 2 out. And we'll also print the sum out of here to see, make sure this thing. Oops, hold on. I'm gonna put that outside of the for loop. So yep, we got 15 on both ones. So obviously, since this is only going to 5, it's not a big deal, but imagine if it was going to 1,000. You're not gonna do 6, 7, 8 all the way to 1,000. So you could just change this to 1,000 here. And right there, you're already done. And it prints out 500,500. So that's one of the uses for loops. In the next video, I'm going to explain what arrays are and how they're like a collection of values and how you can use loops to basically iterate through the array. Hopefully you learned something from this video, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.